got to be genuine in business or people won't buy from you, you know, and you've got to be genuine with family, you've got to be genuine with your friends or you'll lose them.
G'day guys, welcome back to another cracking episode of Level Up. It's actually a pretty bloody hot one today here in Brisbane. We're back in the shed this afternoon. This is going to be an absolute cracker. I've been trying to get this bloke on my podcast for a long time now. So yeah, I won't keep you in suspense too long, but a really good mate of mine, personally and in business, has definitely been a big part of my journey over the years. A good mate of mine, Trent Spencer from Uptiles here in Brisbane. Uptiles, if you haven't heard of it, was still is Australia's #1 tile showroom, back-to-back 16 years in a row.
Yep.
How are you, mate?
Good, mate. Really good. Thanks for having me on.
Mate, I would have put money on. I was sure you were going to turn up today with a bottle of black Sambuca.
I reckon it's probably the first time, and I'll give you my excuse now, is that tonight I'm heading to the V8 supercars with Adam Deuce for the next 3 days. So I figured I didn't really want to start it with Sambuca, because you can imagine it's going to end on Sunday night with Sambuca, I'd suggest. So. I still remember our time here. We lined all your staff and clients and everybody up to go down and play a golf once, and they weren't allowed onto the bus until they'd had 2 shots of Sambuca. So
yeah, no, Trent's been a bad influence over the years. He doesn't mind a good time, but and whenever Trent's around, it is always definitely a good time. But yeah, we hired a bus once to do a work function, and Trent was invited as one of our subcontractors, and everyone's out the front of our house waiting for this bus to come, and Trent turns up with a bucket of pre-mixed shots.
Yep, the party bucket.
And a couple of bottles of black Sambuca, and no one was allowed on the bus until they'd had 2 drinks.
And they got off with plenty more afterwards, didn't they?
Mate, that was a very, very big afternoon. Yeah. And I think we made the bus had to stop a few times, a few bolos on the way.
Yeah, I think we called into Beanley. I haven't been to Beanley in 30 years, and go through a bottle shop down there was a new experience.
But mate, look, thanks very much for coming on. I'd talk to you to a lot of people about you. Like, you've definitely influenced me a lot over the years. Trent's the one that actually asked me to go to Everest Base Camp. So that was 6 years ago, was it?
Yeah, 2018. So yeah, 6 years ago. Yeah, yep.
And I've told the story before about this. Like, Trent, we were having a meeting. Trent said, "Oh, look, I've chosen something to help me exercise and get fit. I set myself a goal. I'm going to do Everest Base Camp. Do you want to be in?" And I said, "Yep. Where is it?"
Yeah, and I mean, it was good because, like, you know, you came and you introduced Justin into the group, and the group grew from me to 13 of us going over there, and everybody only had one connection, one to the next. So we made a great group of friends out of it, and all did an experience that put us under a huge amount of pressure, mentally, physically, the whole lot. And not only just for the trip, but, you know, 3 or 4 months leading up to that, we spent a lot of time together, Tuesday, Wednesday, 4 o'clock in the morning, training. But it was like a men's mental health camp of walking and talking, and you know, it was probably the best mental health I'd had in years, because you were able to talk to people, and you found if you walk with someone for 3 hours, there's no secrets left at the end of that.
A few times a week, you've got to talk about something. Like, it was brilliant for myself as well. I think I'm definitely a big fan of it. Like, you got to just get out and have a chat to people, don't you? Not keep it all in your head.
Yeah, you do. And I mean, that there, you know, we experienced going visiting quite natures and stuff like that sort of thing. So you're out there, there's no alcohol, there's no nothing. You're chatting away. Everybody tries to be a bit guarded in the beginning, and all of a sudden you're walking up a hill or a mountain, and everybody's equal because they're all puffing just as hard. Yeah. They're all struggling, you know, and they're all trying to be men and Group A, and it's not going to hurt me. And then eventually they all crack, they all cry, they all sit down, they all give up, you know, and everyone gets around.
Cheers along the way.
We did, yeah.
Well, mate, I can't thank you enough. Like, that trip was definitely life-changing for me. I know you've had similar experience. Like, just to be in that environment with an incredible bunch of people, which became very good friends by the end of the 10 days. But just to experience that environment, the people, the culture, and then, like, so Trent's most of the time the organiser. Like, he's the one that comes up with these ideas, and it doesn't matter whether it's an idea for a pub lunch or some function on a weekend or whatever. Trent doesn't fuck around.
No.
So he'd organise this whole thing to Everest, the airfares, accommodation, and mate, the tour guide that you found that took us on that adventure was just, we could not have done better.
No, we were lucky, and I think we saw people lining up to get on the planes. We managed to do it in a chopper. That was a whole new experience. I've found a fond loving for choppers now because they're weapons, and we probably had the wildest chopper ride I've ever had, landing with 5% fuel. Doing like sort of side big swipes and nearly backflips in the chopper. It was pretty exciting.
Coming through a cloud and having a mountain in front of you.
Yeah, a lot of people thought you're just hiking up to Everest, but there was a total adventure between going to the Monkey Palace and going out on the drink in the middle of Kathmandu till 2 or 3 in the morning. And there's some great photos of you, Duayne, that have turned up after that exercise. So Sambuca might have been involved in a couple of them too.
No, remember so for anyone that doesn't know, Sambuca, when I used to get on it, was my go-to. Like that was
you're incredible Hulk juice, hey?
Yeah, I love it. And after we made it to Everest or base camp, got stuck in Lukla for a few days, finally got back to Kathmandu, and it was like a 3-day, 2-night just bender. Yes. And I remember I don't know how many bars we went to, but it was like nobody had Sambuca, so ended up walking around town and pluggers all night trying to find a bottler or a bar that had Sambuca.
I think there's a photo of you with pluggers on next to Rio sticking out of the floor in a nightclub. It was very health and safety. And we started the first day with a steak at the Australian steakhouse thing we found in the middle of town with some beers, and because we'd all been so disciplined with what we ate, drank, and in the preparation to get there. And that went out the window once we made it. Eh?
It was, but it was just such an incredible experience. Yeah. And the bonding that we got over that. And then after that, we come back, and the following year we did one with the couples. So nearly everyone that came on that hike, we actually took our wives and we went over to New Zealand. We did the Milford track. That was another incredible experience. And
that was supposed to be kind of like a relaxing effort, but that actually turned out to be more difficult than some of the days at Everest, It
was definitely more difficult, but and then the last night was just as big.
Yeah, we seem to finish that way, don't we? So that was good. And it was a beautiful spot to go to Milford Sound, and it was good for the wives and that to come along and experience some of the walk and talk and that sort of thing too. Yeah. So we got known as the Verve crew, I think, after Catherine Campbell decided to drink us out of Verve.
Well, the chopper had to fly more in, I think, to the last 2 lodges because they bloody ran out.
Yeah.
So Trent is always the instigator of a great time, and if ever Trent's involved, it's always, it's going to be a great time, it's going to be quality. But when it comes to the business side of things, you're always the first one to put your hand up, give people advice. You're involved with a business group here in Brisbane as well, aren't you, where you help people out?
Yeah, look, 20 odd years ago, I got invited into the Tattersalls. They had it there, and at that stage, I think it had been going 38 years, and they wanted to start another Brisbane Business Associates. They took a couple of the sons of the original group, and I was their first invitation there, and there was 4 of us. It's grown out to about 16 or 17 in the group. Mixture, again, builders, accountants, solicitors, financial, doctors, everybody. It's a group from different industries. I go along and I sit there as an importer from Europe and discuss about how the European markets and things are, the shipping, all that sort of stuff. So it's the idea is to get a bit of a spectrum of all industry and try and get an idea of where it's going. We have a guy there that deals with receiverships and those sort of things, and for many years he's depressed, and then when he's happy, the rest of the table's not happy. So it's a good group to be in. Being able to get some advice. We've seen through that period of time, I think nearly all of us started there unmarried. Since we're married, now we've got children at 17, 18 years of age. So to know people that long has been great. See some big failures, some big successes, and all the time, every time we see it, it's the same rule. There's no difference. The ones that go too hard, spend too big, grow too fast, don't survive. The ones that get rich slowly just continue to get more wealthy, get more sturdy, more strong. And then I think in their mental health, their marriages, everything seem to survive, and they build a strong relationship with people,
It's important to, I know people that just keep to them, everything's very private, keep to themselves. They're not interested in being involved in groups and all that sort of things. But whether you're paying for a coach or a mentor, or you're involved in some sort of group. Like I'm a big fan that you have to talk to people. Like you can't do it all on your own. Like you like learn from other people's experiences and take on other people's knowledge, and it might not be in the same industry or the same business that you're trying to set up, but if you just take a little bit from here, there and everywhere and then figure out what works best for you, you're going to get to where you want to be a lot quicker.
Yeah, and I think you've got to be honest though. Do you know what I mean? The thing I've probably seen in these groups a lot is a lot of dishonesty, and I've seen, well, not dishonesty in that they're trying to make themselves appear bigger or better, and rather than say I've got failings, I'm not perfect, because they can't learn. They can't learn if they're not honest to say that I've got faults, right? Or I need help. You got to ask for help, and if you don't ask for help, you won't get it. You know. So, and I see a lot of younger people join the group and look up to some of these people and go, "Oh my God, I need to be that." And you say, "You know what? I don't think that's possible. I think that's a fairy tale. I think it's a unicorn. Don't get sucked in. You know, not everybody's always got everything you think they've got. When the wheel stops, that's when you see the reality of people. And I think it's important for a lot of younger people to be themselves and not worry about trying to be what everybody else is. You know, I had an argument with one of my friends. He bought a Lamborghini at 30 years old. I said, "You're a dickhead." And he said to me, "Why?" I said, "What are you going to do when you're 50? You know, like, fair enough. You made it. You're great. You're very successful. You've got a Lamborghini. But then the problem is you get married, you have children. The Lamborghini's no good." Yeah. Do you know what I mean? It's useless. So, you know, as you know, I'm in the car racing. We've had to go along to do the Super Mini thing. And it's become like a business group like that. So the same thing, we race, we drink, we party, and we discuss business. You know, today I was working on computer systems and things for the business. Spoken to 3 or 4 of the mini racers, 2 of the guys from the Brisbane Business Associates, about how they've implemented computer systems in their business, where it went wrong, how it fell apart, where'd they get ripped off, you know. And that sort of thing. And it's great to be able to be so honest. I go there and say, I'm computer illiterate. I have zero knowledge about computers. I'm going to get done like a dinner if somebody works it out. Can you give me some help? Yeah. You know, and people just can't do enough for you, you know.
It's super important. Like, and people would get to where they want to get quicker if they did that. Like they took a step back. Like social media is obviously bad for it. Like everyone's trying to live up to this perception of what other people have and do and are. Yeah. But you never know if someone's in debt to the eyeballs, or if it's mum and dad's money, or like how they've got there.
Well, as you see, you know me, I'm not on social media, right? So I'm probably one of the only people that's not. I do see it because our businesses and things are on social media, and I think it's an important part of the business to be on there. For me, you know, I used to go to the Brisbane Business Associates, and they're all on social media, and I wasn't. They used to say to me, "Trent, you need to be on Facebook." I said, "No, I don't. I'm going to sit here now, and you're going to tell me what you've done for the last 4 weeks, and I'm going to really enjoy that from you." I don't see it. I haven't seen what he did. I don't know that he's done it or anything. So I had the live experience. Do you know what I mean? I didn't watch the recorded show back. I watched the live experience, and I think it was good. It gave us something to talk about. Don't get me wrong. I do enjoy seeing people do well on there. Look on the social media and things like that. But I'm not one to post anything or do anything like that. I'd much rather sit down, have a drink with somebody, have dinner with somebody, and talk about what's happened, you know.
Yeah, well, again, that personal connection's getting lost a lot, isn't it? Because when people do catch up in person, they've got nothing to talk about because they've seen it every day.
Yeah, well, you see it regularly. People sitting around a table, 6 people, 6 phones. Yeah. You know, I'm terrible. I tend to go home, put my phone on charge and leave it alone. You know, I use it for business. I went away on holidays there recently for a month. In that whole month, I took 3 phone calls. So I didn't deal with any emails. I had arranged so that it was all managed and looked after and that, but I literally put my phone in the suitcase, and it's the best month I've had. I didn't have to worry about it calling. I didn't have to return any calls or emails to anybody. I put a lot of effort in for 6 months to be able to do that. It wasn't just I'm turning it off for a month. I don't agree with that. There was a lot of planning, a lot of discipline went into it, a lot of commitment from my people, my staff around me that said, yep, we're more than happy to manage this. But I tell you what, sometimes that detox of being in touch with just the people that are around you, I think probably Everest taught us that too when we went to base camp. Yeah. We were just them. We virtually, the phones and that were unimportant. They became a camera.
Well, I think it was only, I think there was only myself, you, and one or two of the other guys that like literally didn't have our phones. Yeah. And everyone else was buying SIM cards and trying to, like, that was one thing that disappointed me about that trip was I couldn't believe we're in this incredible place, and if you wanted to, you could have phone service. So even the bloody Sherpas, like the Sherpas were walking up with 100 kilos of shit on their back, lean over, scrolling through Instagram on their phone.
It was a good place to go, though, when you've got so much entertainment, natural entertainment of beautiful mountains and the streams and the yaks and bridges that you guys bloody rocked and rolled and scared the living crap out of me, you know. So I reckon we spoke about the Hillary Bridge for about 3 hours because we knew it was coming up and I've got a fear of heights, and they just could not work out how to give me more of a hard time. They were like, you get on first, I'll get on after him, we'll rock and roll this. Then they stuck a yak on with me, you know, like... It's like I was being punished for all the times I served too much Sambuca, I think, you know. So,
I really just like your honesty, mate. Like you're very blunt and direct, and I think you need someone around you like that to like get you to pull your head in sometimes. Like we've had some pretty good conversations over the years, or I've rung you with an idea or whatever, and your advice is always straight to the point. Yeah. But like, how have you got to where you are? Like, if we can, like, I don't know if you're happy to talk about your journey a little bit, but I know you have worked your ass off since you were bloody 14.
Yeah, so I mean, you know, I've got a tough family. Like, my father's been a great influence on me. He's proper hard, you know. And people would say he's a tough.
He is. Yeah, for anyone that's listening, he is fucking hard.
Yeah, and then when you met my grandfather, he was harder again. Yeah. So, you know, and my mum's side, my grandfather was a businessman as well. Very tough sort of people. So I suppose I grew up with that, and my father's favourite saying my entire life was, it's hard but it's easy. And when you work that out, Trent, you'll have made it. You know, and I've spent a long time working out what the hell is he talking about, whether I was playing football. You know, I went down to the local publican at 14 years old and got a job, you know, and I worked there 35 hours a week while I finished high school, all through the night, go to school during the day, continued to play my football and stuff like that. Worked at the tile shop during that time as well. And it took me a long time, and I used to think he was a real mongrel and think, why is he so tough on me for this? You know, I've put in 100% effort, I'm doing that. And then you worked out, you know, that hard but easy means if you do the hard work, everything else is easy. So I trained during the week. The football game was easy. You know, if I went to work every day disciplined and executed correctly, paying my bills and making money and buying things that I wanted was easy. So it took me a long time to work that out, but he used to say it to me flat out with no explanation. Didn't matter what it was, you know. So
it's a good saying, Dad.
Yeah, you know, you could bitch and moan. I'm building fences. You know, we lived in Bow Desert, and I'm building fences, keep my horse in. And, you know, he wouldn't let me use the auger on the tractor, dig it by hand. But, you know, when I went to the football field, it's about knock the guys over because I was that solid. You know, when I did kung fu, you go there, people could punch me. It didn't hurt. Didn't hurt as much as a horse kicking you or digging a fence hole. I can give you the drum. So it was good that he gave me those lessons. You know, it came from his father. Yeah. These days, you know, they probably go, that's abusive to your children. You're not allowed to do that. You know, I got plenty of beltings. That was how it was back then. I've had to raise my hand once to my children. I got one of them, and that one took the other one out, and we call it the kung fu hand, you know. So from about 4 years old now, I just roll my hand around with my wrist, and my children just stop doing whatever they're doing. Dad only ever launched it once, but I think what come from my stare was that I only ask once. And I suppose you say that to me. Yeah. I only ask the children once to do something, and they know that's the rules. With my staff, I'm very fair. Some don't love me, some do love me. They know where they stand because I've come through that discipline of, if you ask to do it, or someone asks you to do it, or if you're going to do something, do it correct, do it right. We go to Everest, put the time in. Don't take 13 people over there on a half-assed tour. Make it the best possible tour it can be. You know?
Yeah, you're the most committed person I've ever met. Like, everything you say you're going to do, you don't fuck around. No. Like, whether it's training for something or something for business, or like at the moment with your tile shop, like you're leading the way with the porcelain tops. Like, you're ahead of the game.
Yeah, well, you know, I looked at that 5 years ago, and my father said to me, "You're nuts. You know, you're going to tear up a lot of money. You're going to waste a lot of money. You know, stay on the core business." And I said to him, well, it is a core business. It's just a very big version of our core business. They're made by the same people. They have the durability of a tile. I can see there's an issue with engineered stone. It's worldwide. I can see there's going to be a change. And I can't see why people over there that know better than me spending hundreds of millions of dollars on building these factories are going to be wrong. I think we want to be first. So, you know, we were first to bring the porcelain to Australia. We've had some big players come in, Caesar Stones and Smart Stones and these guys that have brought versions from India and China. We've stuck at our core, Italian. We only sell Italian and Spanish tiles. We've stayed there. you know. And again, it probably goes back to the hard, but it's easy. It's easy to sell the Chinese stuff. It's cheap. We stay with the Italian stuff, which leads the market, brings the quality in, brings the latest design. You know, what do you want to drive? A Ferrari that's got the beautiful, all the latest and greatest, or the copy? You know, so we want to be the leader. So I think the bench tops is something now. After 5 years, Dad's turned around and go, geez, that's a bloody great idea you had there, you know. But he doesn't say that to me. He tells others, you know.
Yeah. Oh, mate, I know your old man is fucking incredibly proud of you. Like, I know he might not tell you, but he definitely tells everybody else.
Yeah, and I reckon he's probably, and you know, I reckon he's softened in the last couple of years. So, you know, he even in the race car and that sort of stuff, we've had a very good year in the race car this year, and we won the open class in the minis. And on the weekend, you know, he was very full of praise, and it's been a great thing to do, you know. Yeah. So whether that's because he's satisfied with where I've got to and my determination, I suppose my discipline, you know, in the business, because the concern, I suppose, is as you earn money, you become undisciplined and you start wasting, you start enjoying things too much, and you don't continue to do the work, because if you don't continue to do the work, at the moment I'm heavy because I've been away on holidays for 4 weeks. I had a great time putting it on, and I'm going to enjoy the pain taking it off too, you know, it's part of the journey. Same thing for him. If he thought that I could just switch off in the business, I think his discipline would still be there. He'd still be very hard. But
discipline's definitely one thing I've taken from you, mate. Like, because if I commit to anything that you ask me to do, I know that I've got to show up. I've got to be there at the walking track. 4 a.m. every Tuesday morning, like, because if you can commit to it, then I should as well.
See, I'm not really a big one on checking with people. You know, if I said to you, we'll have lunch on the 1st of December, I'd turn up at the Brekkie Creek for lunch, right? I'm not one of these ones that text back and forth 25 times and just, hey, just making sure you're right. Has anything changed? No. You say that, goes in the diary, and nothing changes, you know.
And that's, like, it's easy.
It is.
Like, if we book to go out to dinner with our wives, like, that's what we do. Like, you ring me or I ring you, we lock in a date. Done. That's it. We see you on that time that day, and we turn up for dinner. Like,
and you go there committed to have a good time with those people. You know, and I like that about, if I have people that don't do that, then I just stop associating with them. It's simple, you know. And I have many people ring me and say, I haven't seen you for ages. Yep. I invited you last time, you came with me, we had a great time, haven't heard from you. So, you know, it's a two-way street in friendships. It's a two-way street in families. It's if people aren't committed. You know, this year we're going to have all my cousins and all their children for Christmas, the whole lot, the whole family. And, you know, there's been a bit of discussion between the family over the last couple of years. And this year I just said, right, I've had enough of this. This is where we're going. I don't care if I'm paying for the whole lot or you're paying for yourselves or what. We're doing it because my son's 18. My daughter's 17, and in the next year or two, they're going to have partners. Will they or won't they be at Christmas Day or not, right? I'm the oldest grandchild, and so I've got the oldest children. Anyway, I couldn't believe it. All my cousins committed to it. They're coming back from London and everywhere, and we're going to the casino down the coast for the big lunch there, and then we've booked a whole hotel together, and we're going to have a big dinner that night as well in the park. So, you know, sometimes you get a reward for the discipline, do you know what I mean? To push that and push it hard and say, I'm going to do it. And they know me. They've all known me for their whole life. Yeah. And I'm not one that bullshits and says, we're going to have Christmas together. If I say we're going to have Christmas together, we're going to have Christmas together. Yeah. And I'll push and I'll work every angle I can to make it happen.
Yeah. I think it's just a great way to live, mate. But can we go back to back when you were starting? Because that's where your discipline comes from. Like, I've heard the stories about you, like working at the bar, and then you were doing shit in the pub that you shouldn't have been doing because you weren't 18. Like, you've just put a lot of effort into everything you've ever done.
Yeah, well, I was lucky there. I went down to the pub. My parents got divorced, so I had a bit more free time. You know, I didn't have so many eyes watching me. Dad wasn't home. Mum was over there. You know, so we were rat bags. We had a ball. You know, I had motorbikes, I had horses, so I had transport. Mum had a Telstra. I knew where the keys were. We'd definitely drive that around the Bodez a little bit. You know, I think it was 14K to the caravan park, and Mum would come after an afternoon nap and wonder how we had hot chips from the caravan park. We used to just tell her the truth. We used to say, Mum, we took the car. She goes, yeah, you boys tell tall stories. So she said that to us constantly, you know. And anyway, I decided I needed to earn more money, and the tile shop was only open Thursday nights and Saturday mornings at that time. So I had those two shifts, and I thought, you know what, pub's open at night. I'm going to ride my pushy down to the pub. So I went down there. A guy by the name of Lucky Pipos, big publican in Queensland. he won his first £100 on a horse that won the Melbourne Cup twice. And he actually bought a pub with it, and that's how his story grew. And he had a lady down there called Jill Sloan, and she'd come from a place called the Snake Pit, and she was tough. You know, she was really tough.
Where was the Snake Pit?
No, I'm not sure where the Snake Pit was. I think it was towards Mount Isa or somewhere in that direction. It was pretty wild. And she had a couple of rules that you pissed on your own time and you swept the front of the bar every hour, you know, and that's kind of how it started with her. And I came in there, she says, "You're too young." I said, "No, I'm not." I said, I've read the rules, and as long as I leave the premises by the time I'm into my shift, I'm allowed to work here, I'm allowed to do this, I'm allowed to do that. She says, all right. I said, I've got 2 weeks off from school. I said, you work me as hard as you like. I don't need to be paid. And this is back in the day when you could do a trial. Yeah. Now you'd have to pay them, right? Yeah. But back then you didn't have to pay them. She said, okay, come at 5 o'clock tomorrow morning and see this guy outside there called Ray, and he'll get you to hose the car park and sweep this and do that. So I did. Anyway, at 1 o'clock when the pub shut, in the morning, I was still there, and she goes, "Oh shit, you're still here? No one's knocked you off?" I said, "No, no one even knows I'm here except for you. You've just been shoving me around. I've done kegs. I can wash a glass. I can pour a beer. I can do this. Okay, come tomorrow, 5 o'clock, see Ray. No worries." So this went on for about 4 days, and she says to me, she calls me into the office, and she goes, "You're not going to fuck off, are you?" I said, "No, I need a job. I want a job, you know." And she says, "Okay." She says, "I've never seen anybody quite work like you and never complain, you know." So she put me in there. At 17, I had a key to the pub. So that I could get in and out of the pub. I could lock up at night. And, you know, we had a great time. It was Pokies had just started. And, you know, it was a tough pub. We had a sign on the wall that said, "No bikies and blacks to pay on the same pool table," right? So we actually had a pool table dedicated to the bikies and that. And I'm talking a different time ago, you know. Yeah. It was racist, don't get me wrong, but that's how it worked, right?
So this is like 30 years ago.
Oh, 30 plus years ago. So I'm 48 this year. So, you know, I was 14, 15 when I started there. So it's a good 30 plus years ago. And the problem was, as soon as we had a combination mix, we'd end up with a punch-up, right? I grew up there. I had Ray, was a one-legged man that had a plastic leg. He was partly the security. He'd take the leg off, start whacking people with it if they misbehave. And he taught me how to use pool balls and glass ashtrays to straighten people out that were bigger than me, you know. So I learned a lot of tricks at that pub. You know, I've got a few marks. I've got a half missing finger that the stubby half took it off one night, and I had a few marks in my shoulder where I went through a window one night with a couple of people. And I've been in some proper brawls, you know, back in the day when it just went on, when we all sat back down, and there was a bit of blood and sweat everywhere, and we all had a beer again, and it carried on, you know. And Jill would come out and go, your band, and your band for a week, and send them off. Everyone else would sit down very quietly, and we'd go about our day. So, you know, I learnt there, though. I worked in the TAB, and I kept losing my punters off to go and get lunch in the restaurant. So I paid for and got a little chalkboard up and put some specials up, steak sandwiches and things, and started out selling the restaurant. So then all of a sudden, about 4 months later, I became the restaurant manager. Jill said, go in there and sort that out, because obviously we need to do a bit more in there. We end up seating about 100 and something people in there a night, from Thursday, Friday and Saturday nights. And
so where did all this come from? Like, because you obviously saw your old man in business.
Dad, you know, he left school very early. They basically finished year 9, and they said to him, don't bring him back. Yeah. Right? He's very creative with his hands. He's a graphic designer, graphic artist by trade. And he went straight down to Collins Street and became a sign writer. He could draw everything. But then from the sign writing, he learnt marketing. You know, he came up with putting writing on the football fields, you know, like anywhere I have a Winfield and all that sort of stuff. He came up with putting scoreboards up at the football field so they could put the Winfield logos or the Marlborough logos and things on there. Yeah. So, you know, I grew up with all those sort of stories going on. I had a grandfather that ran fruit shops and nurseries. He was all about planting things, growing them bigger and selling them for more, you know. He also bought a lot of property, and I learned about all the property and buying them, and you know, everyone goes, oh, it's great, you're really wealthy. Yeah, it's fantastic. I'm a genius 30 years later, you know. So I watched all of that. My mother invented the ruggers for stubbies, the stuff. So I grew up with Mum there. She was a designer, fashion designer, and had 300 sewers sewing her shorts. Anything she designed, they'd sew the shorts. So, and then when she came up with that, all Australian men were starting to get a bit fat, and she made a first set of shorts in Australia that had a string band and a bit of elastic around them, and went away from the original stubbies. Stubbies made an absolute fortune. So I suppose I was in a front row seat to see a lot of this stuff go on. And you say, well, you know, if you put the effort in and you think about it and you execute it correctly, you're going to make money, you know. And all I was thinking about at the time of the pub, and the thing was that I needed to buy a house. I've got to buy a house. So I'm one of these people that I come out this morning and I got in the garage and I'm looking out at my home. And, you know, that was the home that I imagined as that 14-year-old boy. And, you know, I've got the car there that I wanted, and I've got all the stuff, you know. And I suppose I've got to be cautious. I've got to set some other goals because...
Well, we've talked about this. Like this, you and I are the type of people, you've got to have something to aim for.
Yep.
Because otherwise you just fucking go around circles.
Yeah, it becomes difficult, you know. And when I was young, it was easy to work. It was easy to do many, many hours because I wasn't there. I needed that. I've got to have this, you know. At 18, I bought my first home, and I bought a house every year till I was 28. I lived on nothing, you know. I lived on nothing. I was very good at going getting Y-bone from the butcher. Wasn't the best steak I've ever eaten, and I ate it for 10 years straight. It was pretty rough, but I liked steak, and, you know, I always went to night works for 20-cent drinks because they were cheap, you know. So, you know.
It was such good times. Like, I'm only 4 years younger than you, but, like, people, like, I tell the young boys at work now, like, we used to go to bloody Mary Street and, like, Thursday nights, it was like dollar drinks.
Yeah.
Like,
you had the shooters, you know.
Yeah.
And all at 15, you know, we used to go into Transformers. And I can remember thinking at 15, oh, yeah, I must look old, you know. I didn't look old. I've seen photos. I was no way I was old enough to get in there. And I can remember we'd been there about 3 or 4 weekends in a row and going in and getting the dollar shooters, you know. Anyway, they had the Liquor Licensing Act come round and the bouncers come in and said, mate, out into the alley, out the back. What? You're underage. You've got to go out. So they obviously knew, you know, that they allowed us in those days to do a bit of that. Like, my daughter's 17 today, goes out on a jet ski and I'm worried about her, you know. But, like, no idea what I was doing at 15, you know. Like, so it's...
So you've been surrounded by people that have influenced you and seeing parents and uncles and grandfathers and things do really well, and that's like, it's obviously paid off because you're committed to everything that you do. Well,
look, I see Dad, we used to go out with a guy for lunch, and that was Dad's first major boss that really led him and taught him how to execute his energy, you know. So right from, I would have been 4 or 5 years old the first time I went with Don and had lunch, right? And he used to sit at Gambaro's restaurant and have the same fish and chips every Thursday. So if Dad wanted to see him, he'd go there. And we generally just go there so Dad could run some ideas around him, talk to him around that sort of stuff. And I'd get dragged along at 5, you know. Yeah. My brother and I went to every single business dinner. There's no babysitter. We sat in the corner at the Chinese restaurant till 1 or 2 in the morning, probably drinking ouzo and Coke because, you know, we'd sneak it off the table. But it was, you just got an education. And, I do worry that kids probably don't get as much now. Like mine do. I involve them in everything. Yeah. You know, we have many discussions. You know, we had a funny argument the other day. My wife came home. I'll get shot if she listens to this, and she probably will. But I'd hung her dress up incorrectly on the. I've tried to do the right thing, and I've hung the washing out, and I've hung it up incorrectly. I've obviously pinned it wrong or something, and she's blowing up. I can hear her in the laundry carrying on rah rah. And I turned to the kids and I said, "Now this is how you demotivate your staff." I said, because the chances of me hanging washing next week are fuck all, right? So we had a discussion.
It's true.
Yeah, it's true, right? And like she's just seen it. She's not thinking anything, but she's blowing up. And I'm saying, like, to the kids, there's an example in everything that you do. So don't just do business that way. Do life that way. Do your family that way. Do your friends that way. So you've got to be genuine in business or people won't buy from you, you know, and you've got to be genuine with family. You've got to be genuine with your friends or you'll lose them.
Yeah.
And if they're not genuine with them, don't do it. And I don't do business with people that aren't genuine.
Yeah. That's funny because Camille and I had a bit of a run-in the other night about a similar thing. So I'm committed to doing more around the house, like as I think I should do. Like Camille shouldn't have to do everything, but I'm meant to cook a minimum of 1 night a week.
Yep.
And so I'm trying to do that, and I'm doing that most weeks.
Yep.
But Camille's like, you need to do it more. And I said, well, you need to give me better feedback. Because I said,
what do you call this, love?
Because I said, every time I cook, like you and the kids whinge and bitch that it doesn't taste right or that I've put too many herbs in or that I've done something wrong. I said, why would I want to cook if I'm getting picked at on every time I cook? So same thing. And I think that's the same, like exactly the same with situations at work. Like if you're whinging and bitching about people, they're not going to do things better, like because they're just going to think that every time you're going to whinge and bitch at them. Like you've always got to give constructive criticism and ideally motivate them to do better.
Well, you often see him say, "Oh, that'll do," because he won't be happy anyway.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So if you're getting that sort of response, it's a trouble. And I think it's important to have the right people, because I often say to people, like when we're interviewing people, if they haven't got self-motivation, they're no good.
Yeah.
Because they're going to wear us out trying to motivate them, you know. So they've got to have their own discipline, they've got to have their own motivation. And I often get people and they go, "Oh, I don't know why you employed that person. They're a little bit different, or this or that." No, they're motivated. They've got motivation. They don't care that they don't know how to do anything or they can't do this. Look, I'm a terrible speller.
Yeah.
I can't spell to save myself. You know, Jim always gives me a hard time because I put copper class up instead of Cooper class, right? Just do silly things like that all the time. But, you know, you're aware of it and you manage it, and don't let it stop me.
Yeah.
I'm going to do it anyway, right?
Yeah.
And then I'm going to laugh about it if I get it wrong, you know. So if we're looking to employ people, we're looking for people that are self-motivated and they've got discipline. Then we can give them the direction. We can give them the encouragement, and then they'll grow, you know.
Yeah.
If I could start every one of my salespeople at their budget for the month and then carry on, because it's amazing, when you're hot, you're hot. They can close sales, they can sell tiles, they can give great interior design advice. Amazing. Once they've got the ball rolling. But if they're 4 or 5 days in and haven't created a sale, and you just watch the energy in the person change, they don't perform.
It's mindset, isn't it?
It's a mindset. And I often say to them, especially the young fellas, you're looking a bit tired there, young fella. He goes, yeah, a bit tired. I said, if I was very pretty and had a nice dress on and I was in a bar and it was 1 a.m. in the morning, I bet you'd feel energetic then. And, yeah. And it's a mindset. Do you know what I mean? You've got to put yourself in the mood.
Yeah.
So some days, I mean, we did our push-ups today, you know, and you do that. And you've got to do that sometimes to get yourself fired up. You know?
Yeah.
I think, like, every morning I have a cold shower, you know, one of the things I learnt from you. And I do it every morning, and I often thought, do I do it for health? Do I do it for this? And I think the answer to is I do it for discipline, to prove that I can do it.
That's the only reason I do it.
Yep. I go, I'm going to turn this to cold, and I'm going to do it, and then I make my bed, right? So that I reward myself when I return home. So when I come home at night, I've got a made bed.
Yeah.
And it's the first thing I do every morning to go, right, I've done something and I've achieved something for the day. I've made my bed. I've had a cold shower. Now I'm ready to fire up.
Isn't it unreal about how those two simple things can just set your whole day up for success?
Yep. Well, you've done 2 positive things for yourself, and you're doing it for yourself, you know. And I think a lot of people also think that you've got to do things necessary for yourself. But like, I get a lot of satisfaction in creating all of those. Like, we went to Everest. I enjoyed very much watching the other 12 people going there, enjoying it, high-fiving, doing all that. I probably got the most reward out of anyone.
Yeah.
I got 12 people to walk around in a forest that I was going to do on my own. I was doing it on my own if I was going on my own. I didn't care. It was going to happen. But I got great satisfaction out of turning up there and seeing 5, 6, 10 people doing the same thing and putting that energy in. And I'm not driving the bus. I'm going to be here at this time. People came, you know.
Yeah, that trip was truly life-changing. Like, I could talk about it all day. Like, we've got stories that we'll talk about for life. Some of them we'll have to save for another podcast. That's naked massages with no oil and that sort of shit. But
well, that was an experience. That was an experience, and like, that's how you learn how to play poker. Because, you know, I came back after that guy had put his dry finger through my crack and convinced you that it was the best massage I'd had in a long time. And you went up there, and then first thing you did was massage your face, I think. So. It was pretty interesting, and I tell you what, did I get some enjoyment out of that? That was pretty funny.
Oh my God!
If you can't have that sort of fun and that sort of jokes with your mates, and then see,
that's what makes it so special, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, you do that stuff, but we're going to have to give a backstory to that now, because people are going to wonder what fingers rubbing through cracks is all about. But we had been walking. I think it was our 5th day, wasn't it?
Yeah, Nambishar, which is kind of the highest town in Kathmandu.
It's the highest and largest city or something at that in the Himalayas, or something.
With an Irish bar.
With an Irish bar
and
as well.
And a masseuse.
That's another story as well. Getting into a blue and the world's highest Irish bar. But so we'd been walking, and a few people were whinging and bitching and moaning about, like, oh, geez, it'd be great to get a massage, and like, wonder if they got a massage here. And the one of our lead Sherpas goes, yeah, like at the next village. So we logged into our place where we were staying, and everyone in the group said, yes, I'll get a massage. And they could only fit a certain amount in the afternoon, and then the rest of us were going to go in the next morning. And Trent and Jimmy, another mate of ours, they went and had theirs, and they come back. I had gone for a shower, and like, we're in Himalayas, and everyone was whinging and bitching that the hot water wasn't working. I was like, I don't give a fuck. So I just had a cold shower. And so I've had a shower, got changed, ready for the night to chill out. And they come back and said, all right, who's up? And everyone else was whinging and bitching about not having a shower. And I was the only one ready.
Yeah.
So I said, oh, well, fuck it. I'll go today instead of tomorrow morning. Anyway, walk up through the village, up these, I didn't know where the hell I was going.
Tiny little set of stairs, wasn't it?
Tiny little set of stairs, up into this room in the top of this dodgy building.
And the sheets hanging over.
And there's this old man sitting there.
And old, wasn't he? He's like 80 years old.
Oh, man, he was old. And the minute I've walked through the door to that room, I've gone, holy fuck. I've just had a shower, got ready for the night, and I've got no jocks on.
Well, I managed to stitch Jimmy up because I came out of there and old mate's got onto the lubrication bottle and he's going, but nothing's coming out.
It
Zero.
was empty.
He's full Chinese burning me and he's sack whacking me as he's rubbing my inner thighs and then bloody, you know, he had no fear. He's like, roll over. Like, because first off I get in there and he's like, pants off, everything off, you know. Anyway, I get out after being, you know, fondled and everything and I come out and Jim's sitting outside going, how is this? It's great, mate, but it's a full Monty job. He's like, all right. I said, get your gear off out of here and in you go, mate. I said, she's lovely. He's rocked in there. He must have thought they've had an exchange of masseuse, but
Everyone's
he came back
an idea
I
of
saw him
it's
walking in and he's looking at me like he was going to kill me and I'm giving him the old, hey, Duayne's going next. Don't let the cat out of the bag just yet. This is going to get funnier, you know. So.
Yeah, well, I thought, well, fuck it. I mean, I'm here. No one knows me, whatever. So, yeah, Starkest. And then he, same thing. I could hear him squirting the bottle and all that's coming out is air. And I've got pretty hairy legs and it was seriously like laying there for 45 minutes getting a Chinese burn. and yeah, there was no holding back. Like his pinky was rubbing through my ass crack and, he did do my face and my lips and my eyebrows, and yeah, I definitely got some of your ass crack on my face. But the funniest part was, and I don't know, you're gonna have to watch this if you're listening. But I finished up and I'm walking back down through the village to where we were staying, and it was a very long, slow walk, and I'm thinking, holy shit, I've been molested. And, I sat down on a bench for a little bit and I thought about what had just happened, and I was like, I wonder if this just happened to Jimmy and Trent. And then I walk in, I open the door, and you guys are sitting in the bar. And before I even finish shutting the door and walking in the room, Trent's on the other side of the room, and he's holding his hand like an ass crack, and he's rubbing his hand through it.
Oh, we laughed for 45 minutes straight while you're up there. I could tell you,
shit.
Jim's going, oh my God, why didn't you warn me? I said, no, it was funny. And then I said, now it's even funnier because we've sent Duayne up there and he's the hairiest man I know, so he's going to tear him a new one. Oh, it was pretty rough. But
and then we kept it, like we had a bit of a laugh, but we kept it quiet, and then everyone else went up. I think the next morning, only one or two went, and they're like, what the fuck was that?
Yeah. But you know, you got to have some fun with people. You know, like it's good time to do that sort of thing. So you know,
but there's a lot of memories in that town, because then later that night we ended up in a brawl in a bloody the highest Irish pub in the world.
Yeah.
But
and that was we were there watching the tennis, weren't we, on the TV, and some crazy Irishman that had way too much to drink decided he wanted to get in a fight with 8 people. So
it wasn't.
We calmly made our way out of there eventually, which was good. And Jimmy kept his head cool, and he'd only known us a few days, hadn't he? I'm thinking, I hope this bloke keeps himself cool here because we do need to walk out of here.
Well, I had visions of bloody ended up in a Nepalese prison, but anyway, it all ended well. But like, this is the type of person Trent is. Like, he organises these things and he just goes full into it, 100% commitment, and then. Only 3 years ago. So since we come back from that Everest trip, a good mate of ours, Justin, he's got right into the breath work and ice baths and stuff. He has a business now called Inner Breath, and I've been doing the cold showers and breath work and stuff. And Trent's given us a bit of shit about it, and then sent me a message to.
It was to hike Kosciuszko, wasn't it, in the winter?
Yeah, to Johannes's. I've gone blank. What was it called? Bloody.
It was like breath and ice bath work for the hiking up there. I can't think what he called the challenge, but we had to be in our underpants, I know that much, and hike to the top of Mount Kosciuszko in winter.
Yeah, Trent sent it to us as a bit of a joke, and I text back and said, yeah, I booked it. And he's like, oh, shit, I was only joking. But
We're in.
we ended up with that was a bloody good trip as well.
Yeah, it was good because we really stitched Jimmy up because he's been telling me how he wants to go hiking in the snow. So I sent him the photo of the hiking in the snow and said, book this. He paid his couple of $1,000. He booked the flights to Canberra. We get down there and we go into the village and into the little hut, remember? And they start handing. And I just watched... what was it called, 12 Strangers or something like that, with Nicole Kidman, where she'd been microdosing the people and you know, they were hallucinating and stuff, and they start handing out hot chocolate in this funny little hut. And I'm saying to Jim, don't drink the hot chocolate, don't drink. And he's looking at me, what? I said, you'll see. Yeah. Anyway, he's like, oh, you're nuts. Then next minute, laying in a circle, and they're banging drums and they're breathing, and Jim's going, I'm going to fucking kill you.
Yeah.
Right? I said, we haven't seen nothing yet, mate. Then they took us outside and lined us up in our underpants, didn't they?
Yeah. Breathless expeditions.
Breathless,
Was it?
that's right. And he said we had to line up and make 2 lines, and you had to stand next to somebody you didn't know. And this lovely lady from Sydney, she was about 50 years old. She was a yoga instructor. She lines up next to me and I said, hold hands. I turn around. Jim's got this bloke, Alex. He's got to be 130 kilos. He's just got out of prison. Shaved head, massive unit. And Jim's go, oh, you're kidding me, aren't you? Then they took us down to the river and put us up to our chins in Snowy River for about 10 minutes.
3 degree water for 10 minutes.
Yeah, it was an exercise. And yeah, so Jimmy kind of worked out that it wasn't the tour he thought it was going to be.
Yeah, but unbelievable experience. Again, like, it wasn't just about... Like, that would have been a great experience if you just went along on your own. But like, the fact that we get a group together every now and then and we do it with good friends and mates and we have a good time. And
and it was a good mix. See, it was a bit like Everest. And, you know, you knew Jimmy and I did. And Chris from CMA came along and your mate Carl came along, who I know through another friend. But there was a little bit of connection between us in some of us. But a lot of those other guys only knew each other just via us. So... To be that close, that quick, you know, it was a great experience. It took 5 days or 4 days or whatever it was to crack Jimmy eventually and get in. It took me a little while to relax into the thing, but, you know, like, it was really good. Like the breathing exercises, you don't realise how much you get out of that. You know, I think that was important. The cold stuff's one thing, that's the discipline, but the breathing exercises, relaxing. And I think I thought about that earlier, Duayne, you know, when I went on the trip. Probably what I learnt from there was you've got to use your discipline as well for your downtime. So you've got to be disciplined enough to let go of work, to be able to sleep at night. You know, my wife says, you shit me. 15 seconds after you're in bed, you're asleep. And I sleep like the dead. But when I'm awake, then I'm awake. So I might get 6 hours or 7 hours. It might be 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. There's absolutely zero point in me trying to go back to sleep.
Yeah,
I just get up and get into it. I get cold shower, exercise, whatever it is. But when I'm ready to go to bed, I'm ready to go to bed. And I think your discipline's got to be the same. We went away on that trip, didn't touch a phone. We had a great time. Like, I'm not sure we really enjoyed every part of it all every day, but looking back, it seems very enjoyable now. You know?
The bad habit snuck in, but I think it was the 4th day when we had a few,
snuck into town.
We quickly raced back to town, found a bottle and then snuck some booze back into our room.
I think that was the celebration of...
That was a celebration,
We climbed the mountain that day and, you know, we wanted to have... I think we skipped the cuddle puddle. Not sure that was Jim was a massive fan of those ones, but yeah, that was quite interesting. The first night with the cuddle puddle, and it was good because you've got all these people, and you can see how a cult could work very easily. Everybody was struggling to say no, weren't they? Like they just went
but it's just it's just good to have a great time.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that I always, whatever you organise, whatever we do, it's always a great time. And it's not always drinking.
No.
Like, we've had a few occasions where it's just been wives with dinners with wives and just
I think it's
family
like,
things. And
I used to look at it there. We went to down to Cades County. What's it called now? Wet and Wild.
Oh, yeah.
Remember we took all the kids down, and I can remember as a kid some of my best memories were just the one time we went there with cousins or friends, and it was like it was great. Yeah. So I look back on that childhood and go on and replicate that. I want my kids to do that, and I think, well, I'm going to ring 6, 7 of my mates, get all their kids together, and we're going to go there and we're going to make a better version of that. And that's what we did that a couple of times, and we had an absolute blast.
It was unreal, and look, I'd never done anything like that. Like normally that's the place you go with your family and stuff, but like to go there with. Yes, whatever it was, 6, 7, 8 mates and our kids, and like the kids can run amok, and then we'll run amok on the slides and shit as well. Like
you're back like you're 12 years old again, And we're going down the slides, racing each other. I mean, I come home, I was a bit sore and sorry, but you really enjoyed it, you know.
Remember Justin, we were trying to go on the bloody wave machine. Justin ate shit big time. Remember that?
Yes.
Oh.
But, you know, like we did the AFL Grand Final there a few years back and got the bucking bull into the front yard and have the bucking bull competition, and all the wives turned up. They all rode the bull. You know, my mother-in-law at 80 rode the bull. So, and I think if you don't put the effort in to create those times, you're not going to have the memories. You know, and if you want those memories, you've got to put the effort in, you know, and it doesn't happen.
Something that I've become really focused on in the last 6 to 12 months, like you've got to create experiences. Like you can't just be so focused on the money or like the car or the property or whatever it is. Like you've really got to take the time to enjoy the experiences along the way.
Well, I think the thing is too is an experience is not sitting in the Qantas Club. An experience is not driving a Ferrari necessarily on your own with no friends. That's not an experience. You know, an experience can be going camping with your mates and setting the bush on fire and then getting out alive, right? That's an experience. You know, I went jet skiing with Mark Rainbow, another mate of ours, in a cyclone, right? And we nearly both drowned. But to this day, we talk about how good we were and how big the waves were and all that. But I'm telling my daughter when she goes jet skiing for the first time today, you know, I was good once, you know. And but hey, I did nearly drown. I did see a person with a broken leg and an arm, and you've had those experiences, you know. And if you don't have that experience, not all of them are good, right? Because that's character building. When you have a tough time, you come out the other side of it and you look back on them more fondly than you do sometimes than you know. It's an experience. Go to the Qantas Club, it's great, it's good. Tick box, done. But it's not something that's been created like, you know, we came here and we did a burnout in your shed. You know, you wanted to show me how the car worked and then we touched it on the wall, you know. Like things like that go on. But it's all part of the night, it's all part of the story. And you've got to enjoy yourself. If you don't enjoy it, there's no point.
It creates memories that you'll talk about for like the trips we've been on. Those stories are going to continue to get better every time they're told.
Well, you know, we've been to Birdsville and stuff and we ran into you on the way out there and, you know, you blow tyres, you get bogged, you know, but the kids got out on their bikes and there was no rules and you run around, do whatever you want to do, burn, make a fire, you know. We went to the Cape, you know, a lot of guys there, 10 fathers, 10 dads, 10 sons and 2 granddads, and we had an absolute ball.
Well, I think that's another thing I've learned off you, like we started doing those Easter camping trips. Like we haven't done them since COVID, but like a lot of people that started to come on those trips, like were completely out of their comfort zone. Like I remember the first one we did, everyone was like, "Oh, I haven't been camping. What do I need? What do I get?" Like, and like there's been people on those trips that started in swags and then went to tents, and now they've got caravans and camper trails and all sorts of things. Like, but again, it's just that. Like probably my best memory of those trips that first one we did, and like I designed not designed, but I put together the itinerary.
Planned the itinerary,
And the first afternoon was at Paradise Dam at Biggert, like just past Biggerton there, and Megan and Ant's son. I've gone blank. What's his name?
You've done it to me now.
Elliot. Not Elliot.
Elliot's their last name. Max.
Like he'd never been canoeing or paddleboarding, and like we had the canoes and paddleboards on the truck, and like everyone was literally sitting around watching Max like have an absolute ball, just
and out of his normal comfort zone, you know. So and we turned up, and I can remember going there, and we had this awning that came off my ute, and we zipped a tent to it. We got it down at King's, $149, and my wife's going, "My God, they've all got caravans and everything." And I said, "Yeah, it doesn't really matter. I don't care. I just want to be here with my friends. I bought a deck chair and I'll be over the end of the fire and, you know, we'll make a feed and we'll have a few drinks and the kids are going to get absolutely filthy. And I don't care whether they have a shower or swim in the dam, whatever, it doesn't matter. It's just about being there. And you don't have to have the biggest ute. You don't have to have the flashiest tent, you know. And I probably purposely go the other way sometimes just to try and prove that point that it doesn't really matter. Do you know what I mean? I've never been bothered to go and buy a Rolex watch or do anything like that because I don't need one. You know, I've still got the watch on that I wore to Everest. I bought it for a purpose because it told me how far I'd walked and how my heartbeat and everything was going, and it told me the altitude. And, you know, since then I went, you know what, it's still going. And the next watch that goes on there will be after that one breaks. So I don't really need anything else, you know. It's
But again, it's creating those experiences and those memories like that again, that trip, like that Easter, like we ended up staying in a Big Four for the last few days, and like our group just created this big circle. Everyone else in the caravan park's doing their own thing, and like we just had an absolute ball.
We had downhill races.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like we get egg and spoon races. We had egg catching competitions, this sort of stuff that you heard about when my parents were young and did things. And I think, you know, like when we went out to birds, we took a rope and we had tug of war, right?
Yeah.
And we had mums versus the kids, and the kids upended the mums. It was hilarious because the mums just thought, oh, we'll be nice. We don't want to hurt the children.
Yeah.
Kids wanted to win,
Yeah.
you know. And I think you go back and probably if you ask my kids, and I expect they've got memories of all of that, you know. It's not a computer game.
Yeah.
We went into town, we found cap guns.
Yeah.
My kids had never seen a cap gun. They didn't know what it was.
Yeah.
So we went back to the farm and went into the shearer shed and had a shootout.
Yeah.
Right? It was fantastic fun. Like here we are, 45 years old, running around, and you can imagine, oh, Jimmy and Mark and a few very competitive people, you know, they're going to win it.
Yeah.
You know, we did things, I remember with Flynn, he had, it was his, I think it was his 12th birthday, and I said, let's have a water fight. He said, what? Everybody's got to bring a water pistol. I'm going to get 1,000 water bombs. I'm going to get every hose in the yard, and we're going to fight it out, you know. And we had like 2 hours of just absolute fun, you know.
Yeah.
So and I think if you don't create those and you just go, I'll get a cake and we'll have the 12th birthday party and dad and mum will just get on the piss, that's not a memory for the kid. Do you know what I mean? But I didn't miss out on anything because I had the best day running around there being 12 again. You know?
I'm just while you're talking, I'm just thinking about the I think it was something to do when we got back from Everest. We had to catch up at your place, and one of the boys jumped on the kid's flying fox.
Rusty, yeah. Ended up half in the bloody...
I had a massive bail and ended up in the fish pond.
Yeah.
I think he ended up in hospital later that night, didn't he?
He
did some
half in the
damage.
fish pond, half on the path, and you know,
Oh dear.
yeah, it was pretty wild. But again, there's no limits. You have some fun. You don't want to hurt anyone. But if you wanted to have a go on the flying fox, I'm like, knock yourself out, mate. You know?
So, mate, how do you, like, your staff are, like, I know you have the same issues that a lot of people have, but overall your staff are really good. Like, your truck drivers that deliver your tiles, like, there's no other truck drivers like them.
No.
Like, we get a lot of deliveries on job sites, and your guys are the most helpful. They put the tiles where you want them, like...
Yeah.
But
I think because there's no pressure on them to be anywhere at a certain pressure. They're not like from the truck driver point of view, but they've also got to take ownership. You know, so if you employ that person, as I said, they've got to be self-motivated. So the guy I've currently got, you know, and we generally have a truck driver for 10 or 12 years, and then they retire, and then the next one comes along. And Troy's a similar sort of thing. He was an ex-rugby league player, he was professional, and he did kickboxing and things like that. So he's a very self-motivated sort of a person. He also just wants to do the hours he needs to do and then get back onto his life, you know. And so he doesn't want to be under a stressful situation. He wants to be involved in a team where he enjoys coming to work each day. And he likes to start early. And I said, well, no problem. What do you mean? I said, let's pick the Gold Coast being the furthest point. You're allowed to be there on site 6:30. What's it take you to go from here? So leave at 5, mate. And then you can knock off early.
yeah,
Customers don't care that they're getting a delivery at 5 in the afternoon. Right? If you're happy to leave at 5 in the morning or 4 and drive up further north or whatever and work your way back, let's do it.
Yeah.
So we work with them individually on how their life wants to work, I suppose. You know, his name's on the truck.
Yeah.
Right. So, you know, I got the new truck recently and rewrapped it all, and the side to the sign, I put his name here because it's his truck. It's not my truck. It's his truck. He's got it's his place every day that he's got to be, where he has his lunch every day, and he's got to be happy every day.
That's brilliant. That's really good.
You know, and he looks after it. You know, he does a lovely job of looking after that truck, and then he enjoys. Then that comes to when he gets to site, he's happy. You're not going to wreck his day, right? He's got a good place. He's happy in there, and then he does a good job. And we call it the Uptiles experience. And the experience starts from the moment you walk into the shop. And that's a smiling young person on the front counter greeting you and asking you, what are we tiling? What are you doing? Not a pressure sales. We don't employ anybody in sales. Everybody's a qualified interior designer in the shop. We're not there to take an interior designer's job. We're just tile experts with knowledge. And what we do is we go through and understand a person's project and thing, and they get enjoyment out of creating that design for you.
Yeah.
So if they're just there selling a product and it's the cheapest product on the market, there's no interest. We're selling the best quality available product from Italy. I've just come back from Italy. We've bought all the new, the latest and greatest. We sat an iPad on the front counter, and the moment I took a photo in Italy, it instantly synced with there. So every morning the team would come in and see what I'd taken photos of, and then they'd send me feedback, right? Because then they're helping select what are we getting.
Yeah.
They're involved in the product. They like the product. They're then showing it to clients instantly, saying this is from Italy this morning.
Yeah.
And I think because they're involved in the whole business, they're not just, I bought all this, that's on display, there it is in the prices, that's the code, you sell it.
Yeah.
They're going, Trent, get me that pink one. I want the pink one. Okay. And we name it after them, or we do things like that with them, you know. And if they don't want to be there, don't be. That's what I always say. You're not forced to be here,
Yeah.
right? This is a democracy. I'm in charge, yes. I can't go anywhere. I'm stuck, right? But the rest of you can come and go as you like. If you don't want to be here, don't be.
Yeah.
Don't come to me and say, I don't like working weekends, right? 30 years I've been doing 7 days a week, right? If I'm not car racing or I'm not at the AFL or climbing mountains with you or whatever, I'm at work, right?
Yeah.
Because
You do have a very good life balance, but like you
Right.
do what you got to do with the family and Callie and the kids and
yep, if the kids have got a piano thing on, I'll be there.
yeah.
Right, and it's not under any stress. I just make sure I'm there, and I enjoy that. I go there and I watch them do it. Right, if it's important to them, I'll be there. If Kelly says I'd want you to have tomorrow off, I'll just have tomorrow off. It's the thing. I think you know, she understands the discipline that I'll go to work and I'll put in 100% while I'm there, and then I can switch off when I'm ready. Like, you know, as I said, I'm going to the V8s for the next 3 days. Why am I going there? Well, I mean, just a mate rang up and said, haven't been to the V8s in 10 years. I'd really like to go with a few mates. What do you think? So, you know, I say to myself, I've got to say yes. Not getting younger. It's been a long time since I've been, and go down there. You know, out of that, there'll be something that I learn too. I love watching the V8 teams, how they manage the cars, they manage the teams. You watch every guy in that team or girl in that team, they want to be there. Right? And that's what we want our team to be like.
Yeah.
We want our team running around, standing frames like they're putting wheels on a V8 supercar.
Yeah.
You know, and if they're not, why aren't they? So I'll often say to people, maybe it's not the job for you.
Yeah.
If you don't want to be here, don't be. You know. And then,
that's a really good analogy to look at it though. Like,
well, they always think I'm crazy because, you know, I do the sales meeting and I'll talk about things like football. So you're the forward, I'm the back, right? You're going to kick all the goals, so you're going to look fantastic. I'm going to warm them all up at the front door and introduce them to you, and you're going to close all the sales today. But as part of the team, we work together, and you know, and we go through different things. So they're always laughing at me because I'm not talking about take the tile and sell it like this. It's always got something else to do with it, whether it's a V8 team, whether it's playing football on there, whether it's kung fu fighting or whatever it is.
Yeah.
There's a way to win, and you've got to do it correctly. Because if you cheat, I suppose it comes back to the hard, it's easy. You do it the easy way, you'll get a couple of sales.
Yeah.
But you won't get the return. So if we don't give them the full experience, you know, like we bake cookies in the morning. They're hot. We make fresh coffee every day as people come in on the machine. We cook meatballs on our induction cooktop, our hidden induction cooktop in the shop every day there when people come in at lunchtime because it's part of the flavour, the smell, the experience. And then you sit down with a qualified person that gives you good advice. You go home that night and you tell many people. And the business continues to grow. You know, don't get me wrong, Duayne, and I say to the staff, I'm unhappy with 2, 3s and 4 stars. I'm happy with 5 stars and I'm happy with 1 stars. And they said, 1 stars? I said, well, 1 star's honest. They hated us, right? We did something wrong, we stuffed it up, or they're a dickhead. There's only 2 options, okay? And there's a few dickheads, so there's a few dickheads on there, and there's a few times we've just completely stuffed it up.
Yeah.
And we own the stuff up. And I'll write to them, sorry, know what happened. We delivered your broken boxes and da-da-da, and we told you, no, you can't have a credit or whatever. Sorry about that, you know. We'll learn from it. And we do look at it and go, we should change something there because that's a 1 star. When they get on there and just waffle on with a whole heap of stuff that was out of our control, we go, sorry, we couldn't help you, you know. Yeah. But if you've got 2s, 3s and 4s, you're not got it right. Do you know what I mean? It should be a 5. And if it's not that, then it should be a 1.
Yeah.
And then a 1's something we should learn from. You know, as I said, I'm disciplined to the point of doing it at 100%. So that's 5. And when you get it wrong, it's 1.
Yeah.
You know, it shouldn't be in between. Never just good enough.
There's no average or okay, like
participation award. Not real good with those. You know, my kids always say, you said to my kids they're off to tennis, what would Dad say? If you're not first, you're last.
Yeah.
Right? And that's just how it is. Don't come, like I used to say to Flynn, don't come home. I said, make sure you win. What if I don't? Don't come home.
Yeah.
Simple. Find somewhere else to stay tonight.
Oh,
you know,
mate,
and I'm joking, I'm mucking around, but it's life.
Oh mate, I got in huge trouble at the netball grand final this year. Like I was pretty annoyed at the end of the game, but and I've been pulled up a fair bit at netball. I don't yell out or any of that sort of stuff. I just tell it how it is sometimes. And after the netball grand final, they lost, and I just said to them, "Oh, girls, look, next year you got to go 100%. You got to be all in." Yep. And they're like, "Yeah, no, we did." I was like, "You didn't. You lost that game before it even started.
Yep.
When we turned up here today, you're already talking about the other team were better than you. You're going to lose.
Yep.
Your mindset was dead before you even started.
Yep.
And man, did I get in trouble by not just Camille, but some of the other parents there. I was like, that's the truth. Yeah. It is what it is. Like,
well, you didn't get the building contract, so you didn't feed your family. That's just world. That's life, right? If you don't get it right, you don't earn.
Yeah.
And just half doing it and then coming up with an excuse why you didn't get it and your business failed.
Yeah.
Is exactly that, right? If your business is failing, change something.
Yeah.
Have a go. Yeah. Don't blame. Right? There's no blame. I just go, well, I got it wrong. Yeah. I've not got it right.
Yeah, 100%.
I need to change something.
You got to take ownership of everything in your life, everything you do, and no one else can make things better.
No.
Like, you're the only one that can change things.
Well, I say that, I get depressed. I get down on myself, right? It happens. I get and say, I've got to make a change. I have to front myself, I went away with massive determination for this last trip that it was about my wife. Right? And I love her to death. You're getting me emotional now, but she is the backbone. She cops the good, the bad, the ugly, the sad, the happy, the crazy person, the everything, right? And never judgmental, never gives me a hard time about anything, just accepts the whole lot, And this trip was all about her. And again, it gave me massive enjoyment, every single thing that I surprised her with. She had a lot of enjoyment, but I got probably more out of it because I'd spent a lot of time thinking about it, planning it, and thinking about somebody else and putting an effort in for others will give you the most enjoyment out of it. Yeah. So even employing people, teaching people how to work for you and enjoying the role should give you enjoyment. If you're just driving them for the reason of return income, get out of business. Shouldn't be there. Yeah. I did that. I tried really hard busting people's asses and yelling at them and jumping up and down and being an angry ant. All I did was make myself unhappy and then unhappy and got an okay result. Got a 3. To get 5s, I think you've got to make people happy. You've got to think through their eyes and things and create an environment where they're enjoying themselves, because then you'll get enjoyment while they're doing it.
Yeah.
So.
And there's nothing better than sitting back and seeing a team that's happy and the wheels are turning and everything's it's not going to be like that all the time. No. But ultimately, you want to build that team that you're not the only one coming up with solutions. Like, your team, if the wheel's broken, then the whole team's getting involved and wanting to improve things and make it better and trying to figure out what's wrong. And
if they don't feel their opinion is important, they're not going to give it. Right? Yeah. So if you don't take on some of their feedback or get them involved, it's hard. You can sit there and throw an idea on the table and they all go, yes, yes, yes. I hate it. I really don't like that, because I think, oh, my God, this is the only option I've got. I don't want to be one that's driving the bus. So the biggest rule we run by is that don't bottleneck. Make a decision. If the decision's incorrect, I'm not going to be in a disciplinary mood. I'm going to be in a training mood. I'm going to come back and say, if you did it again, this is how I'd like you to handle it. Great that you made the decision. Maybe we spent, not this time, but the last time I went away, I came back and my truck had every tyre replaced. It needed a new tyre. I agree, not 15. So I spent quite a lot of money on tyres, and I said to the warehouse mate, it's really nice if we can just spread that out a little bit. It's called cash flow, and it's great. He said, those 2 would need it next month and those 2 the following month, and now the truck's got all brand new tyres on it. But, it never happened again. And then, this time what happened, we had a forklift company come the other day, changed 4 tyres on the forklift, which they did need to be done. He gets the bill and he looks at it and he goes, how can they charge that much labour? That guy was only here 20 minutes. He goes and gets the camera footage, he downloads it, he sends it to the forklift people and says, not on. Not on my authority, on his. But that was a lesson that he'd learnt previously from the truck tyre situation. Yeah. And now he's managing my business for me to help me keep people accountable for what they're doing.
Yeah. So, and you reward your staff. You do some pretty good things for your staff.
Yeah, we do some crazy parties. I am concerned these days, it's getting more difficult. We had no rules. Roger, my father, 75 years old, he's in a trolley on Saturday night racing down Warwick, right? Taking on one of the Campbell boys in a trolley, doing a trolley race, I'm going, oh, my God, if he comes out of the trolley, he's going to end up with more than a couple of fractures in his back.
That's going to be, yeah.
Yeah, but that's how we roll, and we've always played like that, and you work hard, you play hard, and I say to the staff that I do hope that we don't get too woke in that situation. Do you know what I mean? There's too much of this on Monday now where people come in and go, such and such did this or such and such said that. You need to almost have a sign off to say you're going to the party and we're going to the party. We're having shots of Sambuca and so be it. Yeah. We all have to turn up the next day. It's just how it is. Yeah. So it is a concern. We like to do it that way, and I like to be that way as much as I can. I've got to probably show a bit more caution these days with some of that stuff.
Yeah.
So.
Well, mate, we've talked a lot of personal stuff and business stuff, and like I was. What can we talk about tiles? Like, you're the tile man,
Yeah.
so
Well, look, I think in tiles, things that have changed is obviously got the large format tiles now, so you can go from floor to ceiling with one single tile. No grout joint. Obviously, with a digital image now, we can create anything from natural stone to concrete to timber. We can make it to a bench top. We can make it into a driveway cobble. So there's nothing that can't be done with a tile. The newest technology, I suppose, is something they call reel up now, where when they put the glaze on the surface and the design, during the process of heating it, it actually changes every tile. So no longer do you have a replication. So in the old days, you had natural stone, and then your tile might have 5 or 6 different faces. Now they have the ability that every tile has a different face or a different texture. So I suppose we're getting to a point where the product now is a good replacement for lots of natural items. And the thing with that is that, the majority, every tile we sell now is 45% recycled, up to 98% recycled.
Yeah, right.
Yep. So we, again, B Corporation, which is the biggest green sustainable certificate you can achieve in the world, Intragraniti is the second only tile factory in the world to have that. And we've been with them for 44 years. So family business like ours, a father and daughter. And they've spent a huge amount of money. Like, even they capture the heat from the kiln and reheat the offices. All the places run on solar power. All the water that goes through the toilets goes through and cools the kilns and the tiles. Even the cardboard packaging is recycled. The pallets are made from recycled timber, not just then taking building materials, recrushing them and making the base of the tile.
That's awesome. I wasn't aware of that.
Yes. Well, our glass tiles that we make for the swimming pools are 98% recycled. So we take window and bottle glass and recycle it into the pool. And then, like, what we've done there is we put the digital image on the top, and we went to space with satellites and took photos from around the world of all the different reefs and created the colours of Fiji, Bahamas, Hawaii, just to be something unique and different, So I suppose if I'm going to be involved in the tiles, I've got to be interested. I'm not selling rectified white tiles for $9, right? It's not happening. So I've got to have some fun. And if you don't have a story or a character to the tile, why do it,
The technology is insane. Like, I can't... some of the tiles you have at your store, like when you hear you say, like, they look like concrete, they look like timber, they look like stone, but I'm surprised at the depth. Like, when you look at them now, like, you look at a timber look tile...
Yep.
And it looks like it has a knot in it.
Yep.
Like, you want to go and touch it because it's like you're wanting your finger to go into that knot, but it's...
Yeah. Well, part of the reel up now is that you actually can feel the texture. So some of the new stones and the marbles we have, like if you took the natural marble and you closed your eyes from the white across the gold vein, you can actually feel a change in the surface because it is a different characteristic in the natural stone. So they've even gone to the length now within the porcelain that they digitally image that in. So you can close your eyes and you can feel the different colours on the stone. It changes from the thing. It even gets the coolness of the stones and things. The advantage is we're not digging up these natural stones. A lot of the health and safety issues around those sort of products as well too, because they're mined in countries that aren't necessarily safe. So we're running in a procedure where we're able to control the environment. We're able to produce product with recycled material. The product has got like 50-year warranties, so it's expected to last a lifetime, and you don't have to replace it. So only fashion is generally what kills off a tile, at least a quality tile. We don't run any sealers or chemicals or anything in the surface of the tiles, so we stay with products that are good for the environment in that aspect and good for your health at home. And once you've invested in them, you don't have to go. Dad always says, buy well, buy once. That's his saying. He loves that, If you invest in it correctly, go and buy the cheap one, you'll be back down buying it and you'll be wasting your time, right? Time's valuable. Yeah. Put it in correctly.
100%. Like, you got to... like, people think that bathrooms and kitchens and things are things that they can just renovate over time, but, like, you shouldn't be that wasteful. Like, you should be putting the time and the effort and the money into doing it correctly the first time. And
well, I mean, in Australia, I suppose our biggest issue is trade. So a tile is hard to get, a plaster, a chippy, everybody's hard to get. So why would you save a few dollars on the finishings? I say this to people: would you go out and buy a car and then get the spray cans from Bunnings and paint it yourself? Right, the tile's the finish, right? So you can get the most fantastic looking designed car and then start hand spraying it. It's going to look terrible, right? So your finishing product, which is generally the tile on there, you might as well invest the money there because you've already put all the money into the trades to make the room structure and everything else work. You put it into the finishings in the room. Now, if a tap or something else, it's changeable quite easily. Tiles are not.
Yeah.
That's a rebuild of the whole room. So, and then in a flooring situation, same thing. Carpet, roll it up, put new carpet down. Tile, jackhammer job, weeks worth of work, that sort of thing. So if you're going to do it properly once, and you should never touch them again. You don't have to, you can drive on them, you can roller skate on them, you can do whatever you want.
So for people listening, like we've got a lot of listeners in Queensland, but a lot of our listeners are Sydney, Melbourne, and that as well. Like, how do they go about getting tiles from you?
Yeah, no problem. Obviously, we run the websites and the social media and things. So we do companies like Domino's, Michael Hill Jewellers and those. So we do them in New Zealand, Canada, Australia. So we're working at the moment looking to go to the US with a couple of the fast food places. So we've developed tiles that we will send here. We're doing, like prize homes at the moment in Fiji. So again, we did all the design here in Queensland. We put concept boards together. We sent them down to Sydney to be signed off. We loaded the containers and sent them to Fiji for the prize home and stuff over there. So nothing for us. It's like we've got to bring the tile from Italy, right? Sydney, Melbourne, Perth, down the road. On the way here, I was talking to a guy in New Zealand. He needed a couple of 100 square metres of tiles. And he's like, how do we do it, mate? Just tell me where you want them, which suburb and when, and I can produce a price. We bring 40 containers a month in. It's about 45,000 square metres a month. So we have the ability to ship 200 metres anywhere or 300 metres anywhere, samples, those sort of things. And as I said, the experience is that we will give the service. I say to the staff, don't say no. Right, I tried hard a few years ago. We had a big architectural day at the shop, and I wanted to get all the architects out. Right, I ended up spending $8,000 on limousines. They went round and round and round. We picked all the architects and designers up in town. We drove them out there. I wanted to helicopter them. I organised to land the helicopter next to the shop. Got approval to do that. I just couldn't land a helicopter in Brisbane. The day I can land a helicopter in Brisbane, I'm going to do it again because I think it would be an excellent experience. You'd be out there in 5 or 6, 7, 8 minutes, landing there, doing the tour of the showroom, and as you've been down there, we spent $1 million on that showroom when we built it originally, and it's been a never-ending renovation.
It's unreal. The amount of different, just a variety of stuff you have in that showroom is insane.
And I think the difference to us to everyone else in Australia is it's exclusive to us.
Yeah. So
you can go around many of these corporate style shops and see the same thing over and over and over again. We go there, we source it, and we've dealt with, Tau Ceramica, Intral Graniti, Lanka for 40 years, and they're exclusive to us. You can't get them elsewhere. So when you go and see it there, you haven't seen it.
Yeah.
Right. So that's why when you come in there and you go, I haven't seen this, it gives a fresh experience. So if you've got a project or something you want something unique and new for, literally I flew back, so did the samples from the fair. So the stuff that was displayed and released there 2 weeks ago is sitting in the showroom on the floor, and the product will be here in January.
Yeah.
So we're not waiting.
Yeah. No, it's unreal, mate. Look, we'll wrap it up. We could definitely talk for hours.
There's a lot more stories yet.
There's a lot more stories to go. We might have to get you back for round 2. But look, for anyone that's listening, if you want to reach out, we'll put links and tags and stuff in for Uptiles. Thanks for coming on, mate. It's been a long time trying to get you on here. It's been a really, really good chat, and I think you've definitely given a lot of people a lot of value. So I really
mate,
appreciate
you do a
your time.
great job, and you've been busting your backside at this for years and years and years. You caught plenty of shit over it in the beginning, and you've stuck at it, and that shows discipline. And that's why we're mates, because we're on that track that do something, you're going to do it well, and you're doing a great job with this.
Cheers, mate. Really appreciate it. Look, guys, like, subscribe, tell your mates, tell your family about this podcast, because we want to continue to make this Australia's #1 construction podcast. Look forward to seeing you on the next one.
Are you ready to build smarter, live better, and enjoy life? Then head over to livelifebuild.com/elevate to get started.
Everything discussed during the Level Up podcast with me, Duayne Pearce, is based solely on my own personal experiences and those experiences of my guests. The information, opinions, and recommendations presented in this podcast are for general information only, and any reliance on the information provided in this podcast is done at your own risk. We recommend that you obtain your own professional advice in respect to the topics discussed during this podcast.